go where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path and blaze a trail. Fall 7 times and get up 8. Rock stars. This is episode 28 of Stuff on Sawdust. Rock stars, welcome to the shop. I'm Daniel with Bearded Viking Woodworks. For those of you who are new to the channel, we're jumping right in for episode 28 with this badass mid-century modern shelf, but we're putting another spin on this thing. Good shot. The main backer on this piece is 20 inches tall. The shelf lengths are at 24 inches and they're 4.5 inches wide by 1 inch thick. The additional backers here and here are 8 inches tall, 2 inches wide, and 1 inch thick. And the main backer is at 3 inches in width by 2 inches in thickness. Not only is this thing simple to make, it takes limited tools and limited materials, but in turn, it packs a big ass profit. Most of y'all know that I link my supplier in my description of each video for the hardwood that I use. Pine Creek Wood Company is my main supplier for Claro walnut, and they were nice enough to send me and gift me some beautiful Claro walnut that is gonna be perfect for today's project. They have the best prices on Claro walnut that I've seen online. No gimmicks. So let's jump right in and meet me at the table saw. Rock stars. So I've got some white oak that is 1 3/4 wide by 3/4 inches thick, and we're going to cut it down to 20 inches for the backer. I've got this piece of hickory left over from a recent project, and I'm going to use this piece for the additional backer pieces on each shelf that we install. So we'll just set this aside for now. I picked out the piece of walnut that I thought would look best with the white oak for the backer, and we'll glue the backer together once we get everything cut down. But my walnut is going to be cut at 16 inches in length, and we'll rip everything down to 1 3/4 inches once we get it all cut to the length we want. So meet me at the miter box. Well, I've decided to actually make my backer 24 inches at my tallest point for the center of the backer. So let's go ahead and cut this to 24 inches. And we'll make our walnut piece 18 inches in length. So now back here at the table saw, we'll go ahead. This is already ripped down to 1 3/4 inches. So we'll keep this the same width and go ahead and rip down our walnut to 1 3/4 inches. Now we'll just go ahead and get our backer glued together. So we've got 18 inches and 24 inches. So we need to mark 3 inches here at the bottom. And that 3-inch mark will be where our walnut bottom is flush to. And then we'll just add another 3-inch mark just to keep a reference for the top. And we'll add a dab of glue. Add a dab of glue. Add a dab of glue. And for precaution, I wiped the oak down with some mineral spirits before this glue up, just in case it has some natural oil still left in it. So we'll just flip our piece up, tighten up our clamp. Make sure everything is nice and even. And you don't need to clamp too tight. You don't want to over clamp. Just clamp just ever so snug. And I'm just going to add a few more clamps. just some normal squeeze clamps. This won't hurt. The more clamping, the better. We'll see you when this is dry. All right, so now that our backer is all dry, let's go ahead and remove our clamps. Oh yes, that is gorgeous. Wow, that's gonna look so good, guys. So now we need to determine where we want our shelf to start. So I'm gonna be pulling down from my top right around 2.5 inches at the top of my shelf. And then we'll mark 2.5 inches from our bottom, and that will be the bottom of our bottom shelf. And that'll give us a nice reference of where we want our shelf to sit. So let's make an X right above that mark and an X right below our top mark, indicating where our shelves will be set. Our next order of action will be cutting our actual shelves. And I've got this wonderful piece of walnut that I'm going to be using, and I need to determine the width I can make these. This piece is 36.25 long, and it is approximately 8.25 in width. So I'm going to be making my shelves 4 inches wide, and I'm going to cut this piece to 20 inches, and that'll give me 2 shelves at 20 inches, and I'll probably wind up milling them to a thickness of 3/4. But we will determine that once we get it all milled down and shaped up at the joiner and the planer. But first, we need to cut the width. So I'm just going to cut it down to roughly 20 inches. So we'll cut it at about 20.25 and then go from there once we get it all shaped up and square. All right, so over here at the table saw, we're going to pull over at 4 inches and rip 2 pieces of walnut at 4 inches. All right, now that we've got these ripped down and the rain is falling on my metal roof, sorry about the noise. But we're going to go ahead and get everything laid out for our notches. So we'll set these aside and bring in our miter sled. And I'm going to set the height of my blade right at 5/8 of an inch. Now earlier I pulled down 2.5 from the top, and I pulled up 2.5 from the bottom. However, I'm going to switch that up just a bit, and I'm going to go 4 inches from the top, and that will be the top of my notch, and then I'll pull up 4 inches from the bottom, and that will be the bottom of my notch. And I think that will give this shelf a much better look. So we're going to go ahead and transfer our marks from our front to our sides. We don't have to worry about transferring them to the back. We're going to use our caliper method and just close our mouth right over our shelf to get our thickness like that. Another way you could do this is with a set of dividers. However, the caliper is going to be the most accurate. And then we'll just set our square right on top of our mark, and then describe a light line using the back side of our caliper. And we'll darken that line with our pencil. And there we have it. That will be the side of our notch. And we'll just continue this for the top and the other side. And darken those lines. And then we'll do the same method for our bottom notch. Rock stars, I have decided to turn this project into a membership challenge. After I post a video, every member will have 30 days to complete the shelf that I'm building, but put their own spin on it. And whoever puts the best spin on the project I make will be the winner of this badass jewelry box. If you're not a member, consider becoming a member. There are 3 levels you can join. Read over each perk with each level and decide where you want to join. Alright, so now that we got everything squared away with our marks, I'm going to go ahead and set up a stop block right here for this mark. And then I'll move my piece over and line up the blade with the opposite mark. And what I'm going to use over here for a stop block is my actual table saw fence. And that way I can make repetitive cuts. Let's make this notch. That is how your notch should look. Alright, so now that we got the notch cut out in our backer piece, let's go ahead and set our miter sled to the side. We can go ahead and move our fence. And what you're going to want to do is flip your piece over and then take and line up each shelf where you think it looks best. So I'm liking this look right here, and from the side of my backer I've got 1 3/4 inch to the edge of my walnut, and we'll just make the top the same, 1 3/4 inch. Once you get it to where you want your shelves to be, just go ahead and take your marking knife and scribe right on the inside of that notch, right up against that wall on both sides of your notch. And go ahead and remove your backer, and you can go ahead and darken your lines up. Yeah, I like that look right there. Now what you want to do is take your caliper and open them up and just close your mouth. Close your mouth. No, close the mouth of your caliper over the notch and lock them in place. Now, take each shelf that you have. You want to line up your caliper right at the side of it to where the top caliper is butting the side, and describe a light line, just enough to be able to see it. Once you get that line scribed, go ahead and darken that up. And then take your marking knife and scribe that line down. And darken those up. Do this for each shelf. And that will be your notch. Once you get both of your shelves marked out, go ahead and we're going to just bring over our miter gauge and make these cuts with it. So let's go ahead. You want to get your blade height set to the height of your caliper. And the wonderful thing about using the caliper is you have this piece that comes out the back, and in between the bottom of your caliper here and this bottom piece equals the distance of your caliper mouth. So just take your caliper and set it right on your table saw deck and raise that blade right up to it. And that's the height of your notch. And just cut right in between those knife marks you made. Oh, that's a beautiful fit. And that is how you want it to fit in your notch. Let's go ahead and finish up the notch in our other shelf, and I'll meet you back here to get this other backers laid out. Alright, so we're over here at the miter box. I'm going to square up one end of this hickory that I had left over. And we're going to cut one of our backer pieces at 7 inches. And we're going to cut our next piece of hickory at 9 inches. And I'm going to try this out and see how I like it. That's the beautiful thing about custom pieces, is you wing it the whole time and come up with a design that you like. So, man, I almost want to take and have 3 of them coming back into it like this, making each one shorter than the next. But for the sakes of this video, I'm just going to do 2 backers. And I was considering making them diagonal. However, I'm just going to let y'all put y'all spin on it. And I'm going to keep this thing modern looking and keep it square. And just kind of play around with it and see what look that you like. So I'll make the bottom shelf backer over here taller at the top of the shelf, and over here I'll make it taller at the bottom of the shelf. And I think that will give it a good contrasting look for this shelf. Let's get to it. So I'm just going to take my marking knife and make sure everything is lined up and square to my shelf. And then I'm just going to scribe right on top of my hickory where my shelf goes. And then I'm going to make a tick mark right on the side of my hickory onto my walnut, so I get both of my notches in one. And I'll do the same thing on this side over here. Our hickory is 1.5 inches in from each side. So our next step is going to be finding the center point of our hickory. And our hickory is approximately 1.75 inches wide. So we'll set our calipers to 7/8 of an inch. And what I love about these digital calipers is you can cheat and it shows you where you're at. And then take your blade height and set it right to the bottom of that caliper. And that's the height of your notch. So go ahead and transfer your marks to the face of your board, and we'll take this cut nice and slow, keeping our fingers out of the way of the blade. Now we'll take and notch out for our shelf. That's beautiful, guys. Wow. Absolutely gorgeous. Yep, we're going to go ahead and cut out for our other notch. I'll meet you back here. We'll get everything sanded down. I'll take the backer and cut our key slots in it, and we'll finish this bad boy up. So we're going to center our key slot bit with the center of our backer, and I'm going to set a key slot here and here. So we'll plunge in. I got marks on my table where to start my plunge and where to stop my plunge. Shut your motor off, pull back, and pop up. Now, I made a double set of key slots just in case somebody wants to put the nice burl at the top of their shelf. They can do so. But I'm going to use the burl piece of oak at the bottom. I think that'll be a better look. So 2 options is always better than 1. So now for the fun part. We're going to do our tape method. You want to line it up center of your piece. And you want to cut it flush with each end of your backer. Now just press down right around your key slots, and you can see the indentation of your key slots start to appear, and just circle that in with a Sharpie. And I'm going to make 2 templates with the tape for both key slot options, but for now we're going with this option. Now you want to find a stud in your wall and just line up your tape with that one stud, and that's the beauty of the backer, is all you gotta have is one good stud, and this thing will hang on that wall forever. Set your screws to be about a 1/4 inch off the wall, the head of your screw, and go ahead and put a screw right in the center of your marks you made for your hole slots. Bring your backer over. You want it to fit right in place and slide right down. And that is solid. Booyah. Booyah. Oh my God, that thing is sexy. Look at that shelf, guys. Holy moly, I absolutely love that thing. We're just going to go with a simple shellac finish, guys. Watch this thing come to life. Oh my gosh. Stunning. How about that shelf, guys? Rock stars. So let's talk about theirs for a minute. They're asking $151 for the one that they've got here. This is just made out of standard walnut and oak. For material, you're looking at approximately $20 for material. And to ship this guy, the good thing about this shelf is you don't have to glue anything besides the backer. So the only thing that is glued together is that backer piece, and the shelves each pop out, and the backer of each shelf, the little backer we cut, pops out. So you can ship it in one simple box, and I've got the shipping calculated at $8 to $15 depending on where you're located. So you're looking at a grand total of around $35, maybe on the high end $40 to build and ship this guy. That, my friends, is a big ass profit and straight up my alley. This shelf has quickly become one of my favorites. It's absolutely stunning, and you can flip the shelves around. You can have them going this way. You can flip this one to go the opposite way. You can take the backer out. You could even pop the backer out and flip each backer to go the opposite way. And I can't wait to see the spin that my members put on this badass shelf. I'll be posting this Wednesday, February 14th. From that day, all of my members that want to participate get 30 days to put their spin on this shelf and turn in their project via email. And I can't wait. Good luck, guys. Be sure to stay till the end because I'm going to share the top 3 comments from last video. But until next time, this is Bearded Viking Woodworks, and I have been Daniel. Make some sawdust. Thanks, guys.